Hello, beautiful, and welcome to the Moms Talks Sex podcast. I'm your host, Maura Yelvington of Morph Transform Your Reality, where I help women step out of trauma and reclaim their power. I'm so happy to have you here for this open conversation about moms, sex, motherhood, children, relationships, marriage, and everything in between. So grab your drink of choice and let's dive in.
Beautiful Illa here with me today. Hi, Illa.
Hi, Moore. It's so great to be here. Thank you for
I'm
having me.
so I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm grateful that you are here. And we're just going to dive in. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and who you are?
Sure. So I am a transformational life coach for women over 30, and I help them restore faith and love after divorce, toxic love, and heartbreak. And I've been doing this professionally for 5 years now, but I've counseled and coached women most of my life, ever since I was in my early 20s. I was that friend that everybody would come in and ask for advice. And so I decided to make it my profession. And I'm also a mom, and I'm married 16 years now to the love of my life. And just doing the work, getting up in the morning and knowing that you get to change even one life today or inspire someone to be the best version of themselves just fuels me in such a grand way. And I get to talk and meet amazing individuals like yourself, that I get to align with energetically, and just all together in the mission to create better lives for people out there, and to share our stories.
I love that so much, and I just feel like this work is so needed right now. So many women out there are feeling down and feeling depressed and letting life kind of take them down. And so just talking about it, knowing that you're not alone, right? You're not alone. We're all experienced it in some way or another, and we're here for you. And that is the point, right? Giving you tools, turning you up, turning you on, getting you fired. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your story and what you can share.
So my story really begins. I grew up in a place that didn't talk about sex. Sex was taboo. It was something that you don't talk about, you don't ask about. So growing up, being a teen and kind of getting exposed through friends and magazines, because they have those teens and the 17s and stuff. And so I've learned through magazines how to kiss and how to, like, what does that entail? But to be honest with you, it held me back. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I ended up losing my virginity when I was 20. So I grew up believing that you have to get married before you have sex. And so I kind of took that as a blueprint for me to make sure that I do that, right? Because everybody tells you need to value yourself and, you shouldn't give that up, which I completely agree with. You want to have a sense of respect for yourself, right? Like you don't want to do anything that is not aligned with what it is that you want, right? And so I had a lot of friends who felt kind of pressured and pushed into it early on. And I've kind of learned from them. I said, I don't want to be crying because someone took my virginity. And so I think that's what kind of kept me in my little box, with the lock on. But let me tell you, when I experienced it, that's when the floodgates opened.
I love that.
and I entered this incredible transformational state where I not only discovered what amazing world it is to be able to be so connected with someone and have that euphoric experience of that connection, right? Like someone getting so deep inside of you that you can absolutely, like, because you exchange energies, right? And so And when it happens with someone that you enjoy and love, it is like 10x. And so I was, unfortunately, however, I ended up in a few toxic relationships. And if you know anything about toxic lovers, the bad boys, they are the best sex you're ever gonna have.
And so
So,
clear.
yeah, so they raised the level so high for me that I was kind of expecting it, with everybody else that I went on with. I didn't have a lot of guys that I've slept with, but I was pretty choosy as to who I was going to be with.
Yeah.
And I went through a phase where I had friends with benefits because I just chose it, to be that. I didn't want to be in a relationship. I was going through my psych degree at that time, and I wanted to focus on school and just have fun, but do it safely. And I did it safely. And I had a couple guys that, I would meet up with occasionally, and that were just satisfying me the way I wanted to be satisfied, right? Because sex is such a great way to get, it's a catalyst really for anything that you want. And I needed energy, I needed endurance. So I needed all of that to get me through my work and my school. And so these guys were just great option for me. But then when I got into a relationship, and I was at that stage where I was thinking about, wanting to have a family and maybe building a life with someone. I was in a relationship with someone for 9 months, and he had a lot of hesitation about us sleeping together, and so that's when I kind of experienced rejection when it comes to, wanting to be sexual being. And mind you, I mean, I had a pretty high sexual expectations based on my experience. So he was very reluctant to do that, but we still, had relations. We still had sex. It was just a struggle, and I felt unwanted. I felt like there was the block, but he wasn't telling me about it. And while there was something back then, like I didn't know what that was. I didn't know that I should have just opened up the discussion and talked about it. But you don't know what you don't know, right? So now going back, you can kind of connect the dots. But looking back at that, it's like, okay, he probably had a block because he didn't see us going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I have to tell you now that with my husband right now, there's no inhibitions, there's open communication, and I'm not embarrassed to say what I like and what I enjoy. And I think when you are in a committed relationship, you are a lot more uninhibited when it comes to speaking up.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a partner that's next to you that is shutting you down or shaming you in any way, that's hard to accomplish. And there's a lot of couples that face that. So a lot of ladies that come to me that need consulting in terms of, what can I do to spice up my marriage a little bit? I assess first, what are some of the things that have been happening, to be able to really assess where's the root cause and how we can unpack it all to be able to get to a place where you can really enjoy each other, right? Because here you are, you chose this person for the rest of your life. And now this is the experimentation phase, something that you get to try out together. Is it a fantasy? Maybe, maybe you do a little bit of role play. And so it really boils down, do you have the right person with you to help you explore all these things and connect with your feminine side?
Yeah. I love that so much. And I think it was really key when you were talking about when you were in school and you didn't want, the emotional baggage, but you wanted the sex for your own release. I think a lot of women kind of forget how much benefit having sex really can bring them. And I know as moms, sometimes we're kind of tired, and at the end of the day, we just want to sit on the couch and nobody touching us, especially if you have little kids. But you would be amazed that if you actually took a shower, got refreshed, and had some sex, or even masturbated, if you just had an orgasm, the energy, the stress relief, the endorphins are so beneficial to women. And a lot of times we feel like, oh, it's too much work, it's hard work, it's too much work, I don't want to do it. But if you can just connect to that and do that on a regular basis, right? Take that nap time, or in the morning, wake up a little earlier, just find some time.
They say the morning sex is actually best sex, and studies have shown that, because what it does, it gives you the kick that you need for your day, and it really sets you up for success in your day. And sometimes, I used to joke when someone would come in and smile. I'm like, oh, somebody got laid this morning. And they used to get all blushed and rushed. And yeah, but you can see it, like your skin glows, you smile ear to ear, and I get when you're married and you have little kids, like my daughter, she's 7. No, I'm sorry, she's 8. She climbs in my bed, right? And so it's like, okay, this is not a time, obviously, to be intimate with my husband. But what he and I do is we take days off when kids are at school, and we have a day just for ourselves.
Yeah.
If we feel like we need that extra kick, extra TLC. But to your point, masturbation is great as well, and you can do it in the shower. I don't know if any of you guys out there have tried that, but maybe you should. Because when you orgasm, you get this dopamine rush, right? You get the oxytocin, all these pleasure hormones. And it could be when you lay down next to your partner that you're actually in the mood. Because a lot of times we're not in the mood because life is taking over, right? There's a lot of stressors. We're constantly go, go, go. For us that have kids, there's homework, there's, school calling, teachers calling, behavior issues. All of these things can impede your day and the ability to set half an hour to an hour aside just for your own pleasure.
Yes.
Right. And when you consciously choose to do that, it gets easier to make it like an appointment, right?
Yes.
Make it your appointment. Like, this is my me time, or this is our time. And so it doesn't have to be a continuous thing, but you decide for yourself, how often would you like to have it? And then you consciously work at it.
Yes.
And before the kids, we used to basically have it almost every other day.
Yeah.
Now that is not the case, right? It's once a week, which is a typical thing, for anybody who has kids.
Yeah.
And but again, we choose that time with each other. And another thing that might also help is if your partner helps you around the house and it equally contributes, right? Because when you are running around having to do the laundry and do the dishes and do the dinner and do all of that, you feel like it's one-sided while he's sitting on the couch watching TV, right? So you start to build resentment toward them, and that's definitely not going to get you in the mood.
Right.
So this brings me now to really highlight the essence of having open communication and having shared responsibilities. But not saying, I wish you could help me. Say exactly what you need help with, because men are very linear and they're only task focused. So, honey, can you help me with taking the trash out? Honey, can you help me with, doing laundry? Honey, can you take the kids out so that I can finish this, right? So it is really the communication aspect that gets you to the point where you can also say, hey, how about we get it on tonight? And men love if you initiate sex. So practice that. And I highly encourage that. And so, if you're in the mood, trust me, he'll be in the mood within 5 minutes after you mention it.
Yep. I strongly agree. And I love that. I think those are very powerful tools, right? Strong communication, scheduling time and sex, getting in the moods, scheduling me time. Those are all really important tools that we can start doing and implementing. And I would want to add, make your bedroom the place where the worry and the work and all that doesn't go into the bedroom, right? When you close that bedroom door, leave all that behind, because as women, it's so easy to lay in bed and while you're having sex, I had multiple clients tell me, well, I'm laying there and then I get thinking about what's going on today and my worries and my stresses, my anxiety. And one, I would say, okay, he's not doing a great job. And two, you need to leave that stuff behind. You need to close the bedroom door. You need to say, okay, from this point forward, I am changing my perspective. I'm changing the way I see things, and I'm envisioning the best sex of my life. Because if you can envision it, you will have it. You will create it.
I absolutely agree with you. See, the thing is, we need to learn to shut off the world when we enter the room.
Yes.
Or whatever it is that you like to have sex, right?
Right.
But the point is that if you want to truly enjoy the sexual, that euphoric experience, you need to be connected with all your senses. So we're talking, I mean, definitely your mind, right? Like shutting things off, but the touch, the smell, right? All of that. And you're going to see that you can let your hair down, so to speak, when you shut off all the stressors and you actually immerse yourself in this particular moment, right? Yes. Like nobody else exists, just you and me.
Yes.
And then you're going to feel this incredible energy, this vibration coming through your body. And every time you have sex, is good for your body too. It's good for your flexibility. It's good for, I mean, if you have anxiety, because I think a lot of us have anxiety these days, right? Stress, all of that diminishes as you have sex. And, if you have your cycle and you're having cramps and stuff, sex actually helps alleviate that. Mm-hmm. So there's so many benefits to being able to have sex, and we're so blessed that we're structured in that way.
Yes, I agree. So this was awesome. So if our listeners want to find you, where can they find you? Where can they get more information about you?
The best way to find me is my link tree on Facebook. So they can click on that, they can get to my website, they can also book a call with me if they would like to explore things in terms of dating and relationship. And yeah, so that's the best.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with me here today. It was such a contribution, and I'm sure the women that were listening learned a lot. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll tune in with you again next week. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Moms Talk Sex podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like, and support our community by joining our Facebook group, Moms Talk Sex, or follow us on Instagram at Morph Healing. If you're interested in being a guest on our show, send us an email. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next week.